AITA for getting pissy over someone keeping a game just for me even though they don't like it. I will say I was far more of a dick about this than I needed go be. But I just found out my partner doesn't like a gamer suggests they get to play with me outward. If you're curious, it's more so it's not their think, and I will admit I got madder than I should have, cause to me it makes no sense to keep a game you'll only play once in a while and only when I pull you in to play it. He's in college so he got even less time to hang out as it is. And yes, I got real pissy about it, so yeah, was I the ass or was I the ass here?
AITA for not letting my stepbrother's GF ride my motorcycle. I was at Thanksgiving and my stepbrother's GF wanted a ride on my Ducati. It's a badass bike and I don't want to be seen with girls over 130 pounds on it. I told her that and it didn't go over well. My dad backed me but my stepbrother and the rest of the family was pissed. Kind of ruined the rest of the dinner. Thoughts? I probably could have phrased it better but the concept is justified, I think.
AITA, I want to ask my roommate to move out because of his kid. So to start off, I 33M have not been working this year due to illness, and my partner 40F and roommate 44M have really stepped up and gotten things paid for. He's a nice guy and we've lived together for 3 years, and part of the arrangement is that his kid is allowed to stay with us sometimes. All well and good, but his kid likes to play with poop. It's been 3 years of finding small spots and sometimes larger spot of shit around my bathroom. We have had talks about it and even keep wipes just for them to clean the bathroom, but it's an ongoing situation, and now that his kid is also using an electric toothbrush, the mess is ridiculous. I want to ask them to move out, but I feel like that'd put unnecessary burden on his family and mine. But I can't keep living with poop surprises. Any thoughts would be great because I feel like I've asked too many times.
AITA, I'm pregnant and I know the gender of the baby, but I'm not telling anyone. My husband 43M and I 42F are pregnant with a surprise baby. I'm currently 27 weeks pregnant. My husband and I know the gender of the baby but have decided to keep this a secret for ourselves. We haven't told anyone. Most people have been fine with this and respect our wishes. My dad has said that because he is my father I should tell him the gender of my unborn child. I have explained that we aren't telling anyone, but he still believes that we should tell him. This has resulted in arguments. My husband and I don't understand his logic. Are we wrong?
AITA for saying my coworker's name. I'm F25 and I work healthcare. I recently went to night shift due to personal home issues. Immediately I could tell that the hall nurse and an aide on the front hall was messing around. She was immediately jealous of me and was telling the charge nurse I was coming to work without a bra and panties on. I had to embarrassingly explain I was still producing milk and I wear loose bras. I showed her the strap of my bra and that was it. The girl he's involved with goes around talking crap about every girl that even breathes in the nurse's direction. There was a pregnancy test found in the trash and the girl was mad. I had made a joke about one of the patients being pregnant. I had no idea it was hers until she got mad. Fast forward to tonight. I was changing a patient and the patient asked me if I know the little girl up front, the girl he's messing with. I'll call her Sarah. I said, are you talking about Sarah, thinking she was going to tell me something important. She said, yeah, I think they are together. She follows him like a lost puppy. That he doesn't need to be dating. He has 3 kids by 3 different women. I told her it wasn't my business and finished up. I went to go warn the nurse so he doesn't get in trouble and lose his job. Sarah came back as I was telling him. She goes, you just tell everyone's business. Don't ever say my name to any coworkers or patients again. I'd if I should report it or what. I've never had this one. All I was trying to do is give a warning that patients are picking up on things. AITA for saying her name.
AITA for pretending to be a chav so they mistakenly think I'm one of them. Grew up on a council estate and still love it despite the local chav subculture. For those not aware, chav is a subculture like goth or punk or emo, and it's the most hated subculture in Britain. In my area, places like McDonald's are full of people in baseball caps, tracksuits, bling and TNS. Incidents like a nearby chippy being vandalized aren't unusual. For my own safety I've started dressing similarly so I blend in with the chav so they aren't nasty to me. Nothing about me would look unusual or off to them, and while some chavs have approached me like I'm one of them, even complimenting me on my getup, I make it a point to keep my distance and never befriend or trust them because of cases where chavs have befriended people only to suddenly turn on them. Mia Sophie Lancaster and Gemma Hayter. Better safe than sorry, I tell myself. My friend thinks I'm being deceptive and disrespectful, but I feel I'm just protecting myself. Am I in the wrong, or is my friend being too sensitive?
AITA for keeping a family cookbook that was previously thrown away. More than 10 years ago my Sills Mill passed away. The family cleaned out her house, took what they wanted, then decided to toss the rest. Before it was tossed, my sil said to see if there was anything I wanted. All I could find was an old cookbook, which was in plain sight on the kitchen table. Fast forward to this year when I posted a photo of my island with cookbooks all over it. I was looking for a certain recipe. My Bill saw the photo and his mother's cookbook, then demanded its return. I refused. The whole family is in an uproar. Half are on my side, half on his. I've had to block quite a few from being able to contact me, as they were getting really rude. AITA for not returning it. If I hadn't taken it, it was going to be thrown away.
AITA for doing a room viewing without the schedule of my roommate. I'm moving out of a house I'm not on the lease for, but I'm still finding a replacement, to be helpful to the people still living there, and they also told me I have to find someone. I was going to do room viewings, so texted my roommates that I'm having a viewing the next Saturday at 12. My one roommate tripped me apart for not asking her schedule and providing the name of the person coming. I was never just going to tell someone to move in. I just wanted to get started on the viewings, and I assumed I could do that on my own. Pretty straightforward. AITA.
AITA for kicking someone off the group assignment for being lazy. I am 23 was recently placed in a group for an assignment in uni. One of my group members, Jess F22, is incredibly hard to work with. She bunks lectures, leaves me on read when I message her about her assignment, and constantly complains that I don't know what I'm talking about with regards to the assignment. Recently, she has been coming up with all sorts of excuses. Her BF dumped her, her dog was sick, Mercury was in retrograde, you name it. At our last meetup to discuss the assignment, she kept complaining that she had the biggest workload and asked that we redistribute tasks. I lost my cool and went off on her, calling her lazy and immature. I told her that I was going to email our lecturer and ask that she's removed from the group. She started crying, and ran off. Not long after that, everyone else left. When I got home, I saw a bunch of passive-aggressive posts on her status about toxic masculinity ruining her education and only God can judge her. I also got a bunch of messages from people in the group and people who just know me and Jess, telling me I'm a controlling and unempathetic asshole. Now I'm second-guessing if I overreacted because she sucks or if she's overreacting to being called out. So Reddit, am I the asshole?
AITA for calling the emergency gas line. This is so straightforward, so how my 33F partner 39M is annoyed at me, I don't know. But I'll see what Reddit thinks. Standing in our garden and my partner tells me he smells gas. I say I always smell it when it's on. Is that normal? He said no. So I googled what to do, called the gas emergency line, explained the issue and explained there's no smell inside, just outside. The call handler assured me I did the right thing. Engineer was out within the hour, checked everything, and turns out the boiler we have releases a little bit of gas when it fires, and that's normal. Nothing to be worried about. Relief. But now my partner won't talk to me because he's annoyed I rang without asking him first. I rang for advice. I didn't know they'd send someone. I'm glad they did though, as I'm a smoker who smokes right where we smelt the gas. So Reddit, AITA, update: he was upset I made a house decision without informing him first. He wanted me to explicitly tell him I was going to call them for advice. I still don't think I'm TA.
Am I wrong in being upset when asked to split the bill? Let me start by saying, I don't consider myself cheap or frugal in any sense of the word. Only my financial circumstances dictate how generous I can be. I have been known to pick up a restaurant tab for a group of 10. I have also on occasion paid for movies for friends, and other such things without hesitation, but I do have a moral sense of fairness when it comes to certain things. Now let me get to the event that brings me here. I have worked at the same job for over 20 years, and I became friends with one of my co-workers, and then our families became close. Our wives became friends and our kids play together. Fast forward to the future, one of their kids had a child and my family and I were invited to the baptism. After the baptism we were all invited out to a restaurant. They were about 25 people. Being the self-conscious person that I am and making sure that I raise my kids properly, when I am not paying for a meal I make sure that I order modestly and don't overdo it on the drinks. As a matter of fact, no one in my family had a drink other than soda. At the end of the meal, my friend's son, who was the brother of the father of the child that got baptized, asked for the check. When the check came, he looked at everybody and said, "Okay, that's $75 each." It was me, my wife, my 2 sons and my son's girlfriend. Like I said before, we all ordered modestly and none of us had any drinks, but yet everybody else was drinking and ordered steaks. and appetizers. That wound up costing me $375. I am always under the assumption that when it is an event and you are invited to a restaurant for that event that the tab is not being split, and if they do plan on splitting the tab, I think that should be brought up before you go into the restaurant so that you have the option of getting a separate bill. I paid my share. I did not make a fuss. I smiled and said thank you for inviting us. Am I wrong for being a little more than upset with the way this went down, or is this now common and I should have expected it? And just as a point of interest, I did give a generous gift on top of the bill that I wound up paying.
Had this convo with someone on Facebook. Just wanna know if I was in the wrong for what I said. Before anything, this post is not for an argument, it is for a simple conversation. I feel silly having to say this, but for God's sake, people love to try and twist stuff. I would absolutely love to hear y'all's thoughts on this convo. Hello, my name is Cosmic, no not L for the sake of life. I'm an 18F, not usually on FB much other than to stalk my family doing stuff they said they never would. Well, I ended up dong stuck going through some reels and this one popped up. What was like me getting ready to kidnap every stray cat I see. I went through the comments as one does, and the first one I saw was "This is probably why my cat got stolen. She made herself an outside cat and I took her collar off and she got out, never saw her again." Another person replied, "Let's call him Max. With cats don't belong outside." I replied to him with "Oh no. No one tell this guy about Cat Island Lamau, just for a little joke." Someone else replied to the same guy, which led to another person who replied to him, "We are gonna call this person May." First name I thought of. She said, "Look, I'm a cat lover, but he's correct. Talking about Max, all cats belong inside. They wreak havoc on native wildlife, and they often die either intentionally or knit by humans." I replied to her, "Within all my life of having outdoor cats, never have I found one dead, not by another animal or human. Old age of, but never nothing more." Meant to say OFC but can't change a quoted message. She replied, "Just because it hasn't happened to you, doesn't mean it doesn't happen." You also conveniently glossed over the fact that they decimate local wildlife populations. "Keep your cats indoors or don't have they at all." I said, "Okay, and I never said it don't happen. That does happen. Yet I'm not stupid with it. You do what you want, lol." My points still stand. I never conveniently glossed over anything. What I said is an opinion. If you disapprove or disagree, cool. I guess people decimate anything and everything. I would still allow my cat outdoors. They absolutely love it and prefer it. "You can keep your cat locked up all you want." She said, "Loved this. You wrote a lot of words just to still be wrong. Have they day you deserve." I replied back, "I'm a writer, a storyteller, a poet. I write not to be right or wrong, but rather for what I believe. You can say I'm wrong, yet that changes nothing but for you to feel better about the conversation and yourself. As for the last part, honestly, is there a reason for it? Seems like nothing but sarcasm to make yourself feel like the bigger person. I've had plenty of people do that throughout life. Not to just me but to others. There's no right or wrong in this conversation. There's just a simple option, in which no one asked for, yet here we are doing what humans do best. Quite hilarious, honestly. I meant to say opinion, not option, but truthfully, who cares, man?" After that, all she did was laugh at the message. I just thought I was a silly convo between a person I won't remember. Also want to add that the Max person also said, "In a world of predators, cats do not belong outside." I didn't reply, but I thought about it. If that were the case, why do we let dogs outside? Not just big dogs but small ones too. But why are cats not allowed? They can care and survive better than a dog can. I most definitely can argue that. Like some pets just like being outside, why must we choose to not allow it? It's like trying to shield a child for playing in mud. Just silly. Anywho, that's all I wanted to say. If you feel like it, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you for wasting your time just as much as I did, Lamau.
Am I wrong for thinking it's kinda weird my BF gets turned on by my stomach grumbling? Me F20 and my BF M20 got kinda drunk last night and we were kissing and he was telling me stuff he's never mentioned before about me. He kinda hesitated before telling me and prefaced by saying like this might be kind of weird, but told me it turns him on when he can hear like my stomach grumble and like gurgle. And he also said it turns him on when my throat makes noises I don't even know what the means, like when I swallow, I guess. And then he also just said when my body makes noises in general it turns him on. He also said he gets turned on watching me eat. Is this like weird for these to be turn-ons for him? Like, should I be weirded out? I've just never heard of this being a thing, haha. No one has ever told me they've been turned on by my stomach grumbling. Crying face emoji. I'm also confused cause we've been dating for 2 years and he's never mentioned it, but I guess we've only started having sex until a few months ago. So maybe that is something to do with it. I also forgot to mention, he said that watching me eat turns him on cause he knows that it'll go to like my butt and my boobs and my legs, and that turns him on. I guess that kind of just hurts my feelings, cause it makes me feel like how my body is now isn't like enough. I don't think he has a feeder fetish though, because I asked him and he said that like he doesn't want me to gain weight or anything. Not shaming anyone's fetish, but he said he doesn't want me to gain a lot of weight and loves my body how it is. Anyways, advice? Has this happened with anyone else or anyone's partner felt the same? TLDR, my BF 20M told me 20F it turns him on when my stomach gurgles and when my body makes noises.
Am I wrong for talking about leaving the school? You may have already seen this post. I accidentally pressed post instead of save draft. This is my first post on Reddit. How exactly this will work? Sorry if I don't write well. I've seen people post these sorts of things on Reddit before, so I may as well lol using fake names for anonymity. So I go to this very small, K-12 private school. Recently, my family has had some problems here, specifically with my little brother, who gets constantly singled out by teachers. He's a good kid, but he's gotten demerits for stupid stuff, like farting in class happened twice, and he's gotten projects that require art failed because the characters he draws look like aliens, whom the teacher doesn't want him talking about. I myself have gotten demerits for smiling and saying, "No problem." The teacher took it as me saying I didn't do anything wrong. Combine that with a history of bullying for nerdier interests, and you can see why we are leaving. So, we've been visiting many schools throughout our town of a similar type, but that takes up school time. And, when your entire high school consists of 14 people in total, people definitely notice you're missing and ask why. I have a horrific poker face and ended up telling. Most people were chill about it, with the occasional joking traitor thrown around, but no one really was upset about it, at least, to my knowledge. If I was gone for half a day and came back during lunch, the high school would ask how the tour went and I'd give them the gist. The problem was that high school has lunch separately from K-8. In a teacher who I'll just call Mrs. Roberts' room. She overhears me talk about leaving a lot, because she watches over us. I don't think I talk about it too much. I've asked and my fellow classmates 5 others in my class, BTW, and they haven't seen a problem with it. I don't talk about it generally unless someone asked where I was. To clarify, I've never had problems with Mrs. Roberts before. She's a sweet, southern grandma type figure who only gets mad at the louder, chattier students. I'm probably one of her favorite students, because I listen, am quiet, and tend to enjoy the things she talks about. So, this gets me to think I may be in the wrong for discussing this, because she's very level-headed, so I may be a jerk. When talking about our middle and high school-wide Secret Santa with another girl, Amy, I made the comment, I just wish we started in November, so we would have more time to get presents for our person, you know? Amy was already out the door, remember this? Mrs. Roberts then responded, "Oh, we'll probably start it then in November next year." I replied, clearly jokingly, "Man, well, I won't be here next year." So, she looked me dead in the eyes and called me back. She told me that I should stop talking about leaving. That's all she said. She literally just said to cut it out. I nodded when she asked me if I understood once again. Horrible poker face. I just think she didn't want to deal with me because we were about to begin dismissal and I went into a hallway. Side note, the school is very Christian, so we sing the doxology at the end of the day in the halls before we go to our homeroom for dismissal. When I was standing in the hallway, I whispered to one of my other friends, Cassie, that Mrs. Roberts just lectured me on talking about leaving the school. I completely forgot that Mrs. Roberts was only standing 10 or so feet away and I had a horrible whispering voice. Mrs. Roberts looked at me like I had just killed a small child. Yeah, I'm royally screwed. Even worse, I left my stuff in her room, so I'd have to take it out, only for her to lecture me significantly harder. After the doxology, I went to her room to grab my stuff when she corners me down. She says that she didn't lecture me, which I agree. I just couldn't think of another word to use at the time, and that she didn't say I shouldn't talk about leaving. She did. That one was a lie, and that she really said that I should appreciate the time that I had left. Again, that wasn't what she said. I told her that I was sorry for telling Cassie, and that I didn't know that was what she meant. She went off on a rant on how I always misinterpret things and that I shouldn't complain all the time and, once again, be grateful for what I have. She also said that she could have been talking to Amy, but she wasn't in the room when she said that and she was responding to my question. So, I really don't see why she didn't say that in the first place, if that's what she meant. I haven't put up a fight in the past, as I'm a massive pushover. I just went over to my homeroom and quietly told Amy and Cassie what happened. They both agreed that this wasn't an issue, They weren't bothered, and they were confused why Mrs. Roberts was so mad. To make the whole thing more confusing, Mrs. Roberts has a group chat with the other teachers where she tells them what her students are doing. This isn't an "a how can I improve" way, but rather an "a you won't believe what Amy did today" way. She includes teachers who don't have that student, and the responses tend to be general "kids these days" type things. No, we did not snoop on her phone to find this. Cassie's Mimi is the kindergarten teacher, and in the group chat, she didn't mind her finding out. The gossip wasn't a secret. Maybe because I'm a student my judgment is skewed, but shouldn't we also be allowed to tell other students what our teachers said then? I have to know. Reddit, am I in the wrong?
AITA for wanting to take our cat with me after my marriage. Hi, this issue has led to fights in my house the past week, and at this point I thought I'll ask here. I'm going to get married in a few months, and currently live with my parents. 6 years ago my aunt had gifted me my cat for my 18th when he was a kitten. She knew I loved cats. I'd always wanted one, so that was her gift, and it was the best gift I've ever received. I was the one who organized his diet, litter trained him, named him Casper, got him to respond to his name, had him snuggle with me, had huge arguments with my parents in the initial days over him, and defended him. Over time Casper became an integral part of our family. Last week we were just planning on how to start moving my stuff to my fiance's place, and I also brought up his cat tree. My younger sister was like, "Why would you take his cat tree? You're not taking Casper." I said, "Of course I am. He's my cat, and my fiance loves cats too." I'd already discussed this with him. My parents too were against taking him, and my sister started full-on sobbing. I was beside myself, and we had an argument. I told them Casper was a gift for me. I had raised him when he was a kitten, and I brought up to my parents how they used to say he's too much work and a mess in the earlier days. Since then, whenever the topic has been brought up, my sister gets heated. My parents low-key side with her, saying Casper is used to the house and cats are creatures of habit. I've told them they have 3 months to make their peace with the fact that Casper is coming with me. AITA added to address some frequent questions. My college was in the same city we live in, as is my job. I commuted to college from home. And no, my fiance and I haven't been living together. The first time my dad and I took him to the vet, he was registered under my name. Until I got a job after college, I would do his expenditures with my pocket money, and my parents would also pay. Since I've been working, I do the bulk of spending on him, but my parents do too. My sister is 17, and yes, we'll be living in the same city. She'll be seeing him often. It's the fact that my parents are siding with her, and not even just to support her but of their own accord. They too have been saying Casper should stay here. I'll try to bring up them adopting a new cat. AITA for getting annoyed that my coworker is pop quizzing me at work. Not sure if this is the right place to post, but recently just started this new job and I sit next to this coworker who has been really nice and helping me in the beginning. However, over the past few weeks, when I ask for help, it would feel like I'm getting lectured or get yelled at. She would say, "Why would you ask me that?" Or "What do you think?" in a passive-aggressive tone. She would also pop quiz me out of nowhere in a condescending and patronizing way. Since I'm new and happy to learn, I wouldn't mind it if it felt it came from a respectful place, but instead it comes across obnoxious.
AITA for snapping back at relatives who mock my unemployment and now call me arrogant when I don't laugh at their jokes anymore. 24M app developer. After 2 startups that I worked at shut down funding issues, I was jobless for a few months this year. Every family gathering, my relatives openly taunted me, "Why are you working at startups? When will you do a proper job for them? Proper job is when you work at MNCs." Kept telling my parents to force me into MBA or government job even though they know nothing about tech. They also taunted my parents behind my back, saying that he doesn't have work. How are you going to buy new house and all? My dad is retiring soon, so parents were stressed and vulnerable. Now I have a stable job again. At family events, when the same relatives make their usual jokes about my career, I give short, sharp replies. They get offended and complain to my parents that I've become rude and arrogant. My parents scold me lately, saying I should laugh it off or stay quiet because they're elders and I'm creating unnecessary tension in the family. I feel I'm just refusing to be their punching bag anymore, but my parents think I'm being disrespectful and should keep peace even if the jokes are at my expense. AITA for answering back instead of smiling and taking the taunts like before.
AITA for leaving the lights, for letting her do the lights herself. I was helping a friend put up new Christmas lights she had bought to replace the ones that had went out. I'd never done it before but agreed to help them as I had owed them. I go outside with a step stool, and she just stands there on her phone, not instructing me on what to do in the slightest. Thinking it can't be that hard, I then plug them into the other lights on her roof and start using the staple gun to put them up. After a while, they complain about the way I did it, not stretching it far enough or leaving a gap at the start where the plug is. After a while of complaining, I silently undid what I had done to the lights and left her to do it herself, as I couldn't tell what exactly she wanted. AITA
AITA for not wanting my girlfriend to come with me. I told my girlfriend this week that I thought the rivalry game might put her in an awkward spot since she would be the only girl in a big group of my friends, and I didn't want her standing alone if I went on the field. This was our old high school, we've both graduated already. I didn't explain it as well as I should have, and instead I made a few jokes about not wanting her to come, which came across the wrong way. But I did make it clear that I didn't want her to feel alone or awkward if I did have to leave her alone. I'm not comfortable leaving her alone with a group of guys at all. She's my partner, and I shouldn't make her feel unwanted. The outcome hurt her feelings and I feel bad that I contributed to that. I also realize she might struggle with separation anxiety, and what I said didn't help that at all. That wasn't cool on my part and I'm taking responsibility for it. We are both 20.
Witter for going out behind my family's back. Hi guys, I'm back again with a new issue. The whole thing with my room is still going on. My cousin took it over and I share with my sister. My granddad doesn't acknowledge me and my mom is snarky towards me, but that's usual. Anyways, as some of you may know, Avatar 3 comes out on the 19th. I have my LD partner, 20 meters, who I've been with for about 3-4 years. Yes, we have met in person. He has spent a week at my house for my prom and we have done dates before. My mom is fine with our relationship and doesn't have any issues. She knows we've been intimate before, yes we were safe, etc. The plan was that I'd be staying with him for the weekend. He's down here. He'd drive me to work and we'd stay in his hotel and essentially be together. I tried to talk to my mom about the matter but she rejected the idea without giving me a reason. As usual, I know trying to pry more will make her upset. She has a history of not talking to me for weeks on end if I piss her off. It doesn't help with me coming to her about things at all, but that's a whole thing. I'm here to ask Witter if I went anyways. Her usual argument about these things are you aren't grown enough, don't have money, I have a job, good savings to pay for anything, and she constantly switches on my grownness. If you need help, you'll be too far away. The hotel is 10 minutes away from the house we're in. What if you come back pregnant? I know better and scare myself about pregnancy way more than she has ever cared to educate me on.